I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And this is The Coin Show. On this episode of The Coin Show, Matt tells us the story of California Fractional Gold. I talk about the Type 2 proof sets of 1979 and 1981. We share some cool news, and we talk about the coolest thing to walk into Matt's shop this week. But first, as always, the news. The news is brought to you by the American Numismatic Association, which reminds you that National Coin Week is coming up April 20th through 26th. Go to nationalcoinweek.org for details on how you can get involved. Matt, we lead off our news this week with an actual news story from an actual news source.
It has been all over the place.
But it's so far out of our realm as we usually, kind of comment on what goes on in the coin periodicals. This comes from the New York Times. I am proud to say the New York Times reports that a Northern California couple discovered $10 million in rare gold coins.
This has been the talk of the coin shop for the last week.
And what are the opinions around the shop?
Well, I mean, everybody that comes in the door is like, hey, did you hear about those gold coins they found in California? And, I mean, the opinion around the shop is, that's pretty stinking awesome. But
well, good word travels fast. It always does. That's the gold rush story is always kind of traveled really fast. But the reports are conflicting, though. The story claims that they were out walking their dog and, quote, stumbled across the coins, quote, buried in the shadow of an old tree. And my question to that is, was it buried? Or did they literally stumble across them?
Yeah.
If they were buried and they stumbled across them, then, in my opinion, then they're clearly digging. They weren't, So,
well, from what I heard of the story is that they were walking their dog and they noticed this top of this rusty can sticking up out of the ground, and lo and behold, it's full of gold coins.
Yeah, just out on their property. They're out walking the dog on the back 40. So 1,427 coins dated between 1847 and 1894 are in mint state condition and add to a face value of about $27,000.
Wow, that's really cool.
That's a lot of coinage. PCGS co-founder David Hall authenticated the coins, and Donald Kagan is representing the finders who wish to remain anonymous in hopes of avoiding a gold rush on their property.
Yeah, that could be bad.
Yeah, that could be bad. People just start prospecting in your backyard.
Digging up all your trees.
Yeah, well, not only that, but I mean, just kind of tearing things up in general. It's like, gophers, The coins are being referred to as the Saddle Ridge Hoard. So think about this in probably another year and a half. The home shopping networks will have coins from the Saddle Ridge Hoard in PCGS and NGC holders.
They're in PCGS holders now. I've seen pictures.
Saddle Ridge Hoard?
Yes, they have a special gold label that's like shiny gilt gold.
Now, the New York Times story says that coin experts say they could fetch nearly $1 million a piece. Now, you and I know what rarefied era $1 million coin is.
But the thing is, there may very well be some coins in there that fetch that kind of money, because that particular period, especially the earlier stuff, the 1840s, the gold rush stuff, and that's kind of funny. This is kind of almost what inspired me to do my segment tonight. But the coins from that gold rush period got heavily used, and there are some dates that are that are impossible to find in mint state. So if they had some of those dates in there, they very well could bring $1 million.
Yeah, because they say that nearly all these coins are mint state. I mean,
Yeah.
you could have the 1870s $3 gold piece in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it's probably more likely that it's going to be like a 10 or a 20 that's one of the early dates in mint state from San Francisco.
Sure. Sure, maybe they'll find something like 1850, maybe even another 1849. Who knows?
Yeah.
You never know what's in there.
We don't know what's in there yet, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Oh, I'm sure we'll find out, and we'll find out in relatively short order.
Yep.
The Royal Canadian Mint has released the newest in their 20 for $20 series.
What do they got now?
Now, CoinNews.net is reporting that 2014's release will feature a bobcat,
Ooh.
the animal, not the construction vehicle, pouncing at you. And you can go to CoinNews.net and you can look. There's a picture of the coin. He's kind of pouncing at you. I think it's kind of a cool-looking coin.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. It's the last thing you would see deep in the Canadian wilderness.
And it literally be the last thing you saw, too, because that bobcat would take you out.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
But there's a lot of detail, and the coin is, it's I don't want to say impressive looking, but it's pretty. I mean, it's got a cool design. I think that
it won't make my 2014 ugly coin list.
It will not, but it also may not make your worthy of buying list either.
No, it won't.
Probably not. Okay. The coin is made of 9999 fine silver and weighs approximately a quarter ounce. And based on the current spot of 21.25, it has a melt value of nearly $5.44, but a full face value of $20. So that's the thing, is you can actually spend them if you get that serious about it, and you don't lose money in the process. Now, the Royal Canadian Mint will coin 225,000 of these. Other designs in the 20 for 20 series have featured a maple leaf, a canoe, a polar bear, the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, Farewell to the Penny, Magical Reindeer, the Canadian National Sport Hockey, a wolf, an iceberg, Santa, and a Canada Goose.
I wonder if anybody spent these up there yet. I wonder if anybody's dropped one in change.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously,
you got to think somebody has.
They're not paying any more than $20 for them. So it's not like buying a Silver Eagle and then spending it.
It's like buying a presidential dollar and spending it.
Right. Well, it's like buying a roll of them and busting them open and spending them.
Interesting. It's an interesting question. I wonder if they're circulating up there at all.
I doubt they'll circulate.
You never know.
Yeah, that's true. If you got to pay $20 for it, would you really put it in your pocket?
Yeah.
2 more versions of the 20 for 20 program will be minted this year. Summertime in May is the theme that they have, summertime. And holiday candles in October of 2014.
Those could be interesting.
Well,
summertime.
Summertime.
Summer.
The week and a half that Canada has it. And holiday candles because, of course, we know that, the holly and the wreaths and all their Christmas stuff, well, they have Thanksgiving in October up there, so. Meanwhile, at the United States Mint, the Warren G. Harding 2014 presidential dollar coin cover is the newest release.
Sitting here looking at a picture of it.
Go U.S. Mint.
Yeah. Those first day covers are always popular.
Oh yeah, you know that. They just absolutely rock the phone lines every time they do this. There are people furiously sending postcards for it as we speak. Harding is the 29th president. Now each coin cover features a Philadelphia and a Denver Mint dollar coin and a U.S. Forever stamp. This one is named A Flag for All Seasons, and a postmark of February 27th, 2014, from I want to say it's Galion, Ohio, or Galion, Ohio, but I'm not really
Galena?
Sure. It's the nearest city to the birthplace of President Harding.
Interesting.
And so I really don't know how to pronounce it. It's Galion. So Galion, Ohio. The covers cost $19.95.
And are the coins just uncirculated?
Yeah, you get a P and a D uncirculated. You get the Forever stamp. And
it's already been canceled.
Well, no, the stamp itself hasn't been canceled. The envelope has. It's interesting. Yeah. That way they don't kind of mar up your stamp. So I guess you could spend that one too, and you could
Still.
use that as well.
That totals us up to what, like $3?
Well, no, postage is what. 40,
Sorry, I'm
44
looking at it
cents.
like a coin dealer. That's
Well, yeah. Well, no, I'm saying you're overestimating it, so you're not. It's like $2.45 or something like that. The United States Mint has released the audited mintages for all of its products for the past 4 years. So if you go to mintnewsblog.com, this includes mintage numbers for the ever popular First Spouse gold coins, as well as the Silver American Eagle sets, the Buffalo sets, or the Buffalo, the Platinum, the whole enchilada, everything through the end of 2011. Now, to say that the sales of First Spouse gold were disappointing would, in my opinion, be an insult to disappointment. I counted 4 examples of these coins that couldn't even muster 3,000 sales.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm sitting here looking at it, and the Lucretia Garfield piece actually went. They audited the mintage down 330 pieces.
Yep.
So
even the Liberty subset, which I thought was kind of going to be the hidden gem in the First Spouse, series.
Yeah.
Even the Liberty subset couldn't pull the nose of this diving airplane back up. They only brought 7,100 and 5,100 for the proof and uncirculated Buchanan Liberty coins, respectively. I mean, that's just brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We'll see what happens as the series chugs along, drags along.
It's only a couple more years, and they're...
But yeah, then what?
Well, then hopefully they stop. Here's the thing that I guess really kind of confuses me about the First Spouse coins is that, you have 4/9 gold half-ounce coins. There should be some demand for it.
Yeah.
It's not like
the premiums are so stinking much.
And that's what it is. And that's once we get past this program, maybe they'll produce something that's a little bit closer to melt.
I mean, I'd like to see like a cool gold series for like American heroes. Like Charles Lindbergh, and I mean that would be kind of cool. But
I don't even think that you have to memorialize people anymore. I think people, on the whole, are a little tired of that.
Yeah.
And I think that you could go back. You could do a most popular design series where you go back and you recap like your Mercury Dime, your some of your Standing Liberty Quarter, some designs that people are really liked over the years, and you'd kind of like to see what kind of traffic you could rekindle using those. You could do other series that would focus on things other than people. Kind of like Canada with their 20 for 20 series has kind of bounced around between, events and themes. And there has been people, because you've had the Queen's 75th anniversary, but you've had like hockey and, holidays, summertime. And just, I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It seems that half-ounce coins just never get the kind of respect that any of the others do. Maybe it's just a vehicle that is not ever going to be popular. I don't know.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Yes. Now, I thought it was interesting that the 2011 25th anniversary Silver American Eagle sets had a final audited mintage of 99,882.
Huh.
They somehow eliminated 118 sets.
Well, maybe they were just damaged or defective.
Well, returns.
Returned.
Right. And they didn't make any more than 100 grand.
Yeah.
And there were apparently 118 that were just so unacceptable that nobody wanted them.
Yeah.
The San Francisco Silver American Eagle set from 2012 had an audited mintage of 224,935. So, I mean, that's kind of high if you ask me.
Yeah.
And the winner of all the products in the low mintage derby was the 2012 half-ounce proof gold coin.
The Proof Eagle?
The Proof Eagle, the half-ounce gold Proof Eagle that sold in singles of $39.61, under 4,000 coins. Now, they sold almost 9,000 four-coin sets, but the total mintage on the half-ounce proof is still under 13,000.
Yeah.
And that's the lowest on any proof gold coin for 2010, 11, or 12.
Excluding the First Spouse stuff.
Right. Well, I'm talking about for the Proof Eagles.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
For
Gotcha.
just the regular proof eagles and even the buffaloes. And
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. And you're right about the first bus. Apparently, also, the U.S. Mint has now been selling more Nelson Mandela medals.
Really?
Now, these are the bronze reproductions of a congressional medal, gold medal, that was given to Nelson Mandela. The Mint started selling these bronze replicas in September 1998. And since Nelson Mandela's death in December of last year, they may have caught a few people's eye.
Huh. It's interesting that they're selling them again.
Well, it's one of those things where I think you got a lot of speculators sleeping in on this.
Yeah.
You've got an icon, and I mean an icon, a worldwide, a global icon in Nelson Mandela. So I think and it's kind of sickening a little bit to think that there are people that are just looking to cash in, but the Mint is looking to offload the inventory.
Yeah, I bet.
And I'm glad that they're able to sell them rather than having to melt them. So anything that gets them out the door is good news to me, I guess. And finally, in the news, CoinNews.net is reporting that the Bureau of Engraving and Printing is offering an intaglio print in their Defenders of Freedom series. Now, this year's series is dedicated to the 5 branches of the United States Armed Forces. And what they are is they're 8.5 by 11 prints, and they feature 2 major design elements. Toward the top of the card is a vignette of a soldier from the United States Army 3rd Infantry Regiment who is guarding the Tomb of the Unknowns in Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. The scene was engraved by William B. Matthews in 1954 from a drawing by Robert Miller. And then at the bottom of the card is a vignette depicting a United States Army Green Beret soldier as seen on Series 681 $10 military payment certificates issued beginning in August 1969. Now, the 2 are separated by a Department of the Army emblem, and they only cost $22.50.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Now, I like the back of the military payment script certificate because it's kind of, it's like the back of a $10 bill. It's a really cool intaglio print. They have relief to them. You can kind of see the process, how detailed it is and how much of an art intaglio printing is. And, these things for what you get, an 8.5 by 11 print with, a couple of really nice solid vignettes on it for under $23.
Yeah, I've always thought those were cool. They're just kind of, sort of out of the realm of what I do, but, they're neat.
You can find these and other news stories from the coin world on our website at coinshowradio.com. Just click on News on the top bar for our RSS news feed. It's the greatest week in all of numismatics. National Coin Week is April 20th through 26th, and this year's theme is Coin and Country, celebrating civic service. That's a lot of alliteration for anxious anchors. With activities celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Kennedy half dollar. Now, the American Numismatic Association will sponsor the Member Volunteer Challenge, which asks collectors to follow Kennedy's famous call for civic service by volunteering at a nonprofit organization. Those who volunteer will have the chance to win a 2014 American Eagle quarter-ounce gold proof coin and other great prizes. That's well worth winning.
Yeah.
Go to nationalcoinweek.org for more information on all of the activities and special prizes that will be part of National Coin Week. And since the member challenge is only open to ANA members, Mike and Matt would love to give you a free trial membership so that you can participate.
Ooh.
So I started a contest this week. And I let the Facebook peeps and the Twitter tweeps, I let them have a little bit of a head start on it. And so we did a contest this week for a free 1-year online membership to the ANA. And all you have to do is email Mike at coinshowradio.com the answer to this question. How many books does Mike have in his numismatic library? The person who is the closest, now you get one guess, that's it, one per email address, but the person who is the closest without going over, we're doing the Price is Right thing, the person who's closest without going over will win a 1-year online membership to the American Numismatic Association, courtesy of the American Numismatic Association.
That's pretty awesome.
That is. That's smoking. Matt, there are a lot of stories from early the United States of the gold rush. And actually, there have been several of them in our country.
Yeah.
But possibly and probably the biggest one is one that still continues today, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's people that prospect in California, sure.
Yeah, there's people still pulling it out of their backyard in California, too.
In cans.
In cans. That's some hard prospecting right there.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to, this episode, talk about California Fractional Gold. And for those of you that aren't familiar with them, they are small tokens that were circulated and also made as souvenirs in California during the gold rush and thereafter. But, before we get into the specifics of those, I really just wanted to kind of tell you the story of the coins first. Now, after the discovery of large amounts of gold in California in 1848, there was obviously a huge rush of people to California, and we know this as the California Gold Rush. Many of these new settlers brought little, if any, money with them because the trip was a dangerous one, and there were, robbers and Indians and all sorts of things that were out there to take what you had, so you didn't want to have a bunch of currency with you.
Few of them got through with their lives, let alone with possessions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So as California at this time was really the frontier, people found themselves, able to mine gold in its raw form, but they really didn't have any hard currency to spend on everyday life. So several private companies produced gold coins denominated as $5, $10, $20, and $50, and this was mostly in 1849 to 1853. Now, these large denomination coins filled the need for currency for large transactions, but left little for smaller everyday transactions. And this led to the need and the creation of California gold tokens. And we see them in denominations of 25 cents, 50 cents, and $1 pieces. And we really see these being made by private men starting in about 1852.
So these are the really small coins that you see that have almost crude designs on them that look like, well, they obviously are not products of the United States Mint.
Nope. They're private mint pieces, and you're exactly right. They're tiny little things. Now, these pieces, in all honesty, were really never all that popular, but they did circulate on a limited basis. The thing that really I find interesting is their small size actually made them attractive as souvenirs to send back to friends and family on the East Coast. So a lot of these pieces were actually not circulated, but actually sent back to friends and family to say, hey, look, I'm in California and here's some gold.
Kind of like a souvenir of their trip.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the gold content of these pieces was originally pretty low, and as their popularity grew as souvenirs, the content dropped even further.
Something I think that's important for people to understand is the reason that it was important for the United States Mint to set up shop in places like in California during, the 1840s and 50s was because when coin came from the United States government, at least you knew that the purity was good. You knew that the coins were good, that you didn't have to worry about the alloy, that, you could be pretty well assured that you were getting value for your dollar. I mean, literally for your dollar. And with these coins, it's like it was a crapshoot in a lot of ways. And as they became more popular, it became even dicier.
Well, because these people that were making these were in business, and obviously you're in business to make money. They didn't just make them for fun.
Sure, and if somebody will pay $2 for something, why don't you see if they'll pay $3?
Yeah, and inversely, if you decide to start dropping the content down, nobody's really going to know except for you. So now, in 1864, Congress passed two coinage acts that effectively banned the production of private coins. But the law really didn't see any widespread enforcement until 1883. Now, during this period of haphazard or partial enforcement of the Coinage Act of 1864, the private mints actually took to backdating the pieces with gold rush dates to avoid suspicion.
So that's why so many of these pieces you're going to see are going to be 1849, 1850.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the production of the denominated pieces was more or less stopped in 1883 as more widespread enforcement, started to actually get out to California. But the designs changed around 1884, and we see pieces that lack a dollar value, making them in compliance with this Coinage Act of 1864.
Basically rendering them as tokens rather than a representation of real money.
Exactly. The collecting community actually refers to them as tokens, and these are, really the pieces that were made solely as souvenirs and really did not circulate at all.
So these were kind of like the Confederate dollar bills that you find at the war sites that you go to now, where they're just making them strictly as souvenirs. They know there's no value to them. They're not trying to make anything of value. They're just basically trying to make souvenirs.
Well, and some of the souvenir pieces did have a little bit of gold in them, so it's not like they were completely worthless.
Right, it's not like they were worthless, but they weren't what they purported to be,
and they weren't what they started out to be.
And as we've as we've talked, many times about, it's really important as far as what kind of content the coinage had, as far as what it was actually worth.
Yeah, and as also the San Francisco Mint coming into play, really put a damper on the necessity of smaller coinage, because we have the San Francisco Mint now making silver and gold coins that circulated in the West.
Yes.
Now, the cool part about these is, it can be a really interesting field to collect because, as cataloged in California Pioneer Fractional Gold by Breen and Gillio, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different designs for the different dates. Some pieces are very rare. You don't see very many examples. And some pieces are relatively common, and you can pick one up for $100 to $150 if you don't mind a lower grade or a hold piece. And actually holding the coins was really common because they were used as souvenirs and in jewelry. So,
and to me, I would actually rather have one of these that was circulated. Yeah. To me, it would seem like it would be a more authentic kind of coin to own that.
Yeah. One. Yep. And that's actually funny you say that. I have 5 of them in inventory right now, and they're all MS63. So speaking of grading the coins, both PCGS and NGC do grade these pieces that do appear in that California Pioneer Fractional Gold book. And as I usually recommend, I would recommend sticking to the certified coins because there are a lot of later replicas and even some contemporary tokens that, aren't really worth all that much. The later replicas, I see them a lot. Stuff that was made in the 40s and 50s and 60s to be sold out in, places like battlefields and national parks. And they're really not worth anything. So I would recommend sticking to a graded coin unless you really, do your homework and know what you're looking at.
But they can be something that can be really interesting to collect, and the breadth of the types of pieces that there are to collect is really quite amazing.
Yep. And the couple of kind of rules of thumb that we use in the coin shop, if it has a bear on it, it's not good. It's a counter. It's a later replica.
The one that says California Gold with the bear on it?
Yeah, those are any of those that say California Gold and don't have a denomination should be viewed as just modern tokens and not worth much of anything.
Yeah, and possibly not even anything more than plated.
And most of the time they are, actually.
Yes.
So, that's the story of California Gold. I thought it was interesting, and especially with the events of this last week and this giant hoard coming to light of gold coins in California, I thought it was a fitting piece for this episode.
Matt, in my pursuit of modern coins, I'm always looking for something interesting within the modern realm.
And it's funny because I actually envy that fact because I can't really get on modern coins for more than about 3 or 4 minutes before I get bored.
Well, some of us are simple. We're simple people, simple minds, and we're easily entertained. But those of us,
what you're saying is, if I gave you a garage door opener, I could set you down in the driveway, and you'd be entertained for hours.
At least 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, but I'm always looking for things that are that are more contemporary, things that people can collect. See, the thing I think that I notice about modern collecting is that it's not so much about the value or the rarity, it's about collecting. It's about just assembling sets or having something unique or having something interesting and not necessarily having something that's worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's what's fun about the show is me and you have that different dynamic between us because that's I'm a dealer. I do this for a living. I enjoy and I appreciate the rare coins that we get, but in the end, I'm really looking to feed my kids and keep my lights on. So,
and it is amazing that I'm able to sugarcoat it up enough to where you can actually tolerate it for a couple of minutes.
You do make it very.
I
very
bread it.
palatable.
I bread it and deep fry it for you, buddy.
You make it palatable.
I'm the coin chef. Hello, children. Anyway, so bork. So, when the United States Mint moved proof coin production to San Francisco Assay Office, not the Mint, but in 1968, the San Francisco Mint was once again the San Francisco Assay Office.
Yeah.
Proof coins gained something that they'd never had, with few exceptions, before. Proof coins now and forevermore would have mint marks. Now, the process of putting mint marks on coins was done by hand using a punch. And the same punch was used for all the different denominations. And I have to admit to the fact that there's not a lot of concrete research about the subject. But the story basically has it that in 1979, they were still using the same mint mark punch that they had been using since 1968, when the first S mint marked coins were made since the mid-1950s. The punch used for proof coins was the same as the one for circulation coins from dime to dollar. They all got the same punch.
Yeah, they would punch it on each individual die by hand.
Right. So the story also goes that in midsummer of 1979, the mint mark punch broke and needed to be replaced, thus creating two distinct mint mark styles for the proof coins of 1979. Now, to people who've studied these coins in any detail, they've come to call this Type 1 mint mark the Blob S, because it basically looks like someone tried to punch the S through the coin.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way through it.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, in my opinion, the center of the S was always way deeper than the serifs at the ends, and the mint mark had never really, in my recollection, been clear. Now, as to the old punch-breaking story, think about this. They'd been using the same punch since at least 1968, so that's 11 years. And it is possible that this exact same mint mark punch was used in the 1950s, when San Francisco was still a U.S. mint. And it was likely worn out years prior, and someone might have just been exercising some common sense in replacing it. But the story goes that it broke. In either case, the Type 2 mint mark is sometimes referred to as the clear S. But that's not necessarily its defining characteristic. How clear the mint mark is has more to do with how hard the punch was struck when they mint marked the die. Remember, the mint marks were still being punched into each die by hand at this time. And even though the punch was the same, the clarity would differ from die to die.
Yeah.
The Type 2 mint mark has a distinct shape, though. The loops are larger, and the serifs are more pronounced. Some would use the word bulbous. I've used that word, I've heard it bandied about a lot.
Yeah, that's actually how I describe them when I'm trying to describe them to people. I say, they look like they have bulbs on the end, light bulbs.
Well, yeah, because
really.
they're not notched like some of the ones that we're used to seeing from the 20s, 30s, all that kind of stuff, where S mint marks were kind of squared.
Squared, yep. These get really rounded.
Right, and I'd say that it's difficult to tell what the old serifs really looked like because they were always really poorly defined.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to know that the new punch was used as it was needed to mark new dies. And in the case of 1979, that meant proof-only dies. They didn't strike circulation coins after midsummer, apparently. The 1979 Type 2 is strictly found on proof coins. And all circulation strike coins have the Type 1S mint mark.
Yes. It would be interesting to see if you could find a Type 2 on a circulation piece.
Yes, it might be, and that would be a long and really probably fruitless pursuit.
Yes.
Also interesting to note about the proof production sequence is that not every die lasted as long, and so some denominations were being made with a Type 2 mint mark, while others were being simultaneously made with a Type 1 dies, and might have still had several Type 1 dies in reserve. The mintages for each Type 2 coin vary from one to another. There's no off switch and then back on using all Type 2 dies. So some denominations are definitely scarcer than others. And what this also means is that most 1979 proof sets from later in the year have a mix of Type 1 and Type 2 coins. And very few have all Type 2 coins in an original set.
Those are the premium ones. Those are the ones that bring the extra money.
Yeah, now I've noted here that they're quite desirable. So desirable that I'd warn people that I don't know how sure you can be that your set is original. And I wouldn't pay a large premium for a full set of Type 2 coins that claims to be all original.
Yeah, they do exist, but they do.
But they're hard to verify.
Premium.
But they're hard to verify that they haven't been filled after the fact.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's kind of, be careful about the premium that you pay for the packaging is really what my warning is on that. Now, the story should end there, but it appears that just 2 years later, the mint marks would again become questionably clear. And this was unacceptable to the United States Mint. It frustrated them so much that in mid-1981, the U.S. Mint again changed the punch mid-year to a noticeably clearer S mint mark.
Yeah, that one's easy. That's the easy one.
The serifs were made larger, and the mint mark itself was made flatter. The upper loop in the S is slightly larger than the lower loop. So you can actually tell when this one is punched upside down, too.
Yes, that's true.
The 1981 S Type 2s received a lot more attention due to the recent Type 1 and 2 coins in 1979, and collectors again scrambled for them. The Type 2 mintages are smaller for 1981 than for 79, so overall, the 81s tend to sell for better premiums than the 79s. I've noticed that one of the greatest parts about studying these mint marks is that they're so easy to identify by type.
Yeah.
The mint mark for 1979 Type 2 was used from 79 to 81 and can be used to compare mint marks on both 1979 and 1981 proof sets to identify the mint mark type. In other words, you can take a 1978 proof set and you can compare it to a 1979 Type 1 because the mint marks will be exactly the same. A 1980 proof set uses the same mint mark as the 79 Type 2 and the 1981 Type 1. So anytime you're unsure, you can use those two as actual comparison mint marks. And I think it's cool that you can kind of use your own proof sets to make the comparison.
Sure, yeah. And that helps that, obviously having something in front of you like that is always preferable.
Absolutely. Now, in truth, not all of these coins, even in Type 2, are heavily collected. And for this reason, the premium on these coins exists primarily for the cent, half dollar, and the Susie B.
Yep.
There's significant numbers of collectors for each of those series, and I put this in quotes, relative rarity of these variety coins appeals strongly to them. So much so that collectors will often include these varieties in their sets, even if they don't collect varieties of any other type.
Yeah, and I think they're actually in the Dansko albums, they do have slots for them. So
well,
that helps
they
too.
have them for the 79s to be sure. I don't know that they have them for the 81s, but it seems like people that collect the 79s want the 81s.
Yeah.
So
whenever something gets a hole in a Dansko or any of the albums, it's going to be something that people are after.
When you can look it up in the Red Book, and the varieties listed in the Red Book, that's generally major enough to where people are, they like it.
Looking for it, yep.
There's also pressure on these coins from people who just collect U.S. proof sets. because now you've got people that collect proof sets that want one of the variety sets for theirs. So that also puts pressure on these coins and keeps the prices, pretty decent. They're not like out of reach, but they're definitely higher than any other Susan B's or.
Oh yeah, and the sets themselves, I mean, they really seem to sell for like multiples of sometimes even like 10 times the amounts of the sets around them, if not more. So.
Well, the Type 1 and 2 coins of 1979 and 81 may have been the launching point for many of the Susan B. Anthony collectors out there. Something had to get them going.
Yeah. The coins themselves didn't.
Well,
really.
It's not really much, but it's a 4-year coin. That's all, and the series has 6 proof varieties.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for such a short series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'd also would like to note that many of the proof coins of this era, between 1968 and 1985, tend to have cloudy or milky appearances, and many can benefit from a proper quick dip. But if done improperly, the surfaces can become cloudy again or worse, show damage. So as a rule, examples with superior surfaces will command the highest money. On these Type 1 and Type 2 coins, I believe it's best to buy them certified because the cost of the certified coins will be roughly that of a nice raw coin.
I think that's sound advice.
Yeah. Now, have you dealt in many of them over the years?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we see them all the time.
Because it seems the collectors of these are passionate about them.
Oh yeah, they're always easy to sell. They don't tend to stick around for very long, so we do get them in, pretty regularly, and they do go out pretty fast.
Are the overwhelming majority of them certified or raw?
Usually when we get the sets, they're actually raw. We if the plastic has a crack or something, we'll go ahead and send the coins in to get certified. But for the most part, we buy them raw and sell them raw.
And have you seen many complete 1981 Type 2 proof sets?
I've seen a few. They're not the norm, but you do check all the coins, and I have seen a good handful that I am positive were just original.
And how big a premium would you put on a set like that? Because we're talking about a $10 proof set.
Yeah, I mean the sets themselves, even the ones with the important coins, being Type 2, tend to bring a much larger premium than that. So I'm thinking that the set itself, with a complete full set like that, it's got to bring about a 20% premium or so over the sets that just have like the die or the penny and the half and the dollar. So because the other coins in there aren't that popular, but
right.
The proof set guy that wants that complete set, then that's where the premium comes from.
Matt, we always cover what we feel to be, the coolest thing that walked into your shop this week. Mm-hmm. And this week I want to start the coolest thing with an announcement of sorts.
Okay.
Because a new addition to the Coin Show that we've decided, that Matt and I have both decided to do, is we've started our own blogs.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really like your new blog.
Well, that's funny because I really, really, really like your new blog.
Well, Matt's new blog can be found at whatwalkedin.com.
Yeah,
it is a blog that is dedicated to the cool things that walk into Matt's shop over the course of the week, and it was my constant harping about posting that has created something cool for all of us to enjoy. And I think that there are going to be far more posts than we could have ever covered in segments on this show. So
I think you're probably right, because you kind of, every episode you kind of try to pin me down to one. And sometimes I have 4 or 5 that were potentially neat.
And you've been having an increasingly difficult time narrowing it down over the
and it's funny, but I have. So yeah, this is going to be through this blog, I'm going to try to kind of post pictures of the neat stuff that comes in, and with a little information about either the coin or, the story of the coin, that how it came to me, and so it should be interesting.
It will be interesting to be sure. It's whatwalkedin.com. Go check it out today.
Yep. And in this episode, I wanted to talk about a coin that's actually featured on whatwalkedin.com, and this is a 1798 bust dollar that I actually purchased raw through the door from a collector. And I purchased the coin. I knew the coin was a really nice original example, and I sent it off to get certified. And it came back in an NGC XF40 holder.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a really nice dollar. Yeah, and it's a really nice original coin. It's got pretty surfaces. And the thing about these is almost every one of these that you run into has been screwed with, has been cleaned, has been holed and filled. And you guys have heard me talk about bust dollars before. I would guess, and this is just my guess and my opinion, that at least 90% of these things have been messed with in some way, shape, or form. So to get a nice, no problem piece in a slab, that's a really notable thing for us.
So many of these coins have had initials engraved into them, been counter-stamped, have had some sort of damage happen to them, that you're right. Looking at this example, I mean, it's almost like a museum piece.
It's pretty. It's really pretty. It's got that nice original toning around the outside on both sides.
Yes, if you ever wanted to know what iridescent pink and yellow toning looks like, I think that these, because there's some turquoise in there. I mean, there's a lot of really cool colors. And I'm not generally a toning fan.
Yeah, I am. But, especially I like it on these early coins because that tells you that, this thing sat somewhere for a really long time. Nobody ever screwed with it. And this is the kind of coin that you want to put in your collection. And for me, this is the kind of coin that I want to put in my customer's collection.
Yes, absolutely.
So we just got it back from NGC, and we're going to send it off actually to CAC now and see if we can't get us a green bean on it, and then she will be for sale.
She will be up for sale.
Yep.
To the highest bidder.
I don't know about that.
But you're willing to take offers.
Matt at coinshowradio.com.
I have a question about this coin because I'm looking at it. You know what bugs me about this coin is the very center of the stars above the eagle's head.
Mm-hmm. And that actually is typical for that die pair. They used these dies until they just fell apart. And that actually is on every one of these die pairs on this it's a Bolander, I can't remember off the top of my head, but every one that's struck from the same die pair has that same issue.
Yeah, that's cool, though.
It's a bulge in the die.
Yeah, and these having been made on screw presses makes them even more, I guess, prominent.
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of central weakness.
You see a lot of central weakness.
Yep. Also, sometimes you can see it on the wings. Sometimes one side will be struck better than the other, and most of it is just simply a matter of the minting process.
See, what I like about this coin in particular is the detail that you see in the eagle's wings and in the shield. Mm-hmm. And then you look right above its head, and the top of the head is very poorly struck. And the stars are,
like that.
missing.
Like that eagle never had an eye. Even when it was brand spanking new, there was no eye there.
He's blind.
Because that's just how it was made.
Poor eagle's blind.
Poor fella.
We would like to thank our contributors, the Facebook friends, Twitter followers, people who wrote to ask questions or in some other way inspired us. Our thanks to the great folks at the American Numismatic Association for their support. Visit them at money.org. Our thanks to Tony Alvarez and the Tony Alvarez Band for our theme music. Visit them at TonyAlvarezBand.com. We also like to thank May Otley for our bumpers. Her site is hannahmayotley.wix.com/portfolio. And a big thanks to our intern, Taylor Webb. But while those people are important contributors to the show, their importance absolutely pales in comparison to you, the listeners, without whom this entire endeavor would be completely pointless. We love our audience, and we love our audience contributions. Send us your thoughts. Email us, Mike or Matt at coinshowradio.com, or you can also ask us questions. Send a question to questions@coinshowradio.com. Visit our webpage, conveniently located at coinshowradio.com. There you will find Matt's articles or my book reviews. On the book review page, you'll find links where you can purchase them on Amazon.com. Purchase them today. We also have pictures and bios if you're interested in knowing what we look like, or if you want to create internet memes, dartboards, or just want to make fun of us. You can also visit our listener map, and there you can place a pin in it and show us where you live. Our winners of the 75th episode contest prompted a funny email. Apparently, there's more than one Phil Moore that listens to our show. And a different Phil Moore contacted me asking about the prize. It was entertaining, I have to tell you.
Oh, that's funny.
I figured I'd share that. More than one Phil Moore. We're number one with Phil Moores.
We have the most
yes,
Phil Moore listeners.
We do.
Out of any show.
If you look up number one with Phil Moores, that's the Coin Show. In the demographic of 18 to 54-year-old Phil Moores.
That's hilarious.
We have a new contest this week, and I gave the Facebook and Twitter peeps a jump on it. And the question this week is, how many books does Mike have in his numismatic library? Email your guess to Mike at coinshowradio.com. You get only one guess per email address. And the person who comes closest without going over wins a free 1-year online membership to the American Numismatic Association. This is all courtesy of the American Numismatic Association. Now, speaking of entertaining, we have 2 new places for your entertainment. Check out our new blogs. Check out a cool blog that's all about the cool stuff that walks into Matt's shop at whatwalkedin.com. Or you can read my thoughts on collecting modern coins at themoderncollector.com. Feel free to stop by, check out our blogs, and give us some feedback. Like our page on Facebook. Come and comment on one of our posts or post something of your own. Just try and keep it coin-related. You can find us either by searching The Coin Show or Coin Show Radio. Follow us on Twitter. You'll occasionally find some exclusive content there as well. You can find us or even mention us in your discussion. We are at The Coin Show. We continue to post a new coin fact every day on Facebook and Twitter. If you like our facts, please give the tweets or Facebook posts a like or a favorite. I'll try to keep them interesting. You just let me know you like them and that you're interested. Just saying. We also have a new page on Pinterest where we'll post pictures of the cool things that walk into Matt's shop and other coin-related and coin show-related pictures. You can find us there too. Spoiler alert, we're known there as The Coin Show. You can also listen to our show on Coin Talk as well as other coin forums. If you'd like to host a player on your website, just email me for details. Our Windows 8 app is available in the Windows 8 app phone store. Download it several hundred times. If you have an Android phone, we have an app for that as well. Download it on Amazon.com for only $1.99. What a bargain for your entertainment dollar. And as always, our show is available for free on iTunes and on Spreaker.com. You can download full versions of the show there. We urge you to do so and share it with your friends. More people continue to find us every single day. And until the cease and desist orders process, Matt and I will continue to create what we feel is the best content on the web. Well, at least the best we can do. So for The Coin Show, I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And we'll talk to you next time on The Coin Show. The Queen's giant, the Queen, yeah, her giant, no, the
giant
Queen,
head.
Yes. Sure. Nat's going to tell us the story of California Fractional Gold. Sure. Hello,
Yeah.
Hello, neighbor. Hello. We've got Matt Dinger with us today, and he's going to tell us the story of California Fractional Gold. You like California Fractional Gold, don't you? Sure, Mr. Rogers has lots of California Fractional Gold.